Hello, welcome to this Civil3d corridor modeling tutorial. In our previous video, we introduced a berm in our corridor model, and then we made a cross section showing fill, and we can also see that when the sample line is adjusted, this cross section automatically updates itself. Okay, in this video we will add a pattern that will be totally dynamic. We will add a kind of pattern to this section view, which will be showing cut and fill works for the section view, and when you change the location of the sample line, this section view will automatically update itself. For this to happen, when you click it, you have to use this command called compute material. But before using this command, we will have to go through some basic steps. Okay, what I have to do is that I need to define a new surface for myself, both for cut and fill. In case of fill, I need to introduce a new surface, which will be starting from here, going along this link, and then going along the berm, and then along the channel edges, coming this way, and then berm, and then slope along the slope. What this new surface will do is that it will act it will help me to compare that new surface with this existing surface. They will do the comparison, and Civil3d will automatically be able to know that yes, after comparing these two surfaces, yes, this section is in fill. And I have to do the same for cut as well. But let us first define a new surface for ourselves for comparison purpose. We will come to our assembly, and then I will click on this guy, and we'll go to subassembly properties, and I will come to parameters, and I will come to codes link. Sorry, this subassembly already has but for those who might think that it is getting a little bit complicated, I'm gonna come to view, and will make two viewport for myself, so that I can explain for those guys which might feel it to be a little bit tough for them. Okay, right now I want to introduce a surface which goes along this link, berm, along the edges of the channel, and then going up, and then berm again, and then going along the slope. So obviously this part corresponds to this part, so I will have to introduce a link over here, and then we have a berm over here. Let me just sorry, berm is over here. Berm is already in front, so I don't have to bring to front, it's already there. And this part corresponds to this part, and then obviously this whole part corresponds to this part, and then we have a berm over here as well, which corresponds to this part, and finally this link corresponds to this part. So we will be adding new link codes. We will have to code these links for us to define a surface. Excuse me. I will click on this subassembly, and will come to subassembly properties. Then I will come to parameters, and then I will come to link codes. And as I can see that this link or this subassembly already has two codes assigned to it. One is top, and the other one is datum. I will press comma, and will add a new one. I will call it fill M, which means fill material. Okay, I will copy this fill M so that I can copy and paste it in some other locations as well. I will copy it and will press OK. So code has been added to this subassembly, a new code. I will come to berm now, and I will give it a new code as well. Since this was a subassembly created from a polyline, so coding it is a little bit different. So once it's selected, come to add code. Thing to remember is that you can add as many code as you want to an assembly. Okay, I will enter since I need to add a code to this subassembly. Civil3d is asking me to put in the name for that code. I will say call it fill m. Okay, fill m is its name, and I will press enter, and then I will click on this link. Okay, so to see if that new code has been added to it or not, you just select that subassembly and come to subassembly properties. Then you need to come to codes and come to link, and there you can see burp is a code that was added in previous video, and fill is the code that has been added right now. Then we will come to this big guy, channel. We will click on this, and since this is a subassembly also created from polyline, its method of creating or adding new codes to it is same as that of burp. I will click on this and I will come to add, and I will click fill burp, and then Civil3d is asking me for the link that I can add code to. I will click on this, and then again I will click on this, and I will come to add code, and will come to and will put a name fill m, enter, and then I will click on this guy. In the same way, I will click on this guy again, will add a code for the third time, and we'll call it fill material as well, and there you go. So the channel has been coded completely for its lower part. Now I will come to this burp, and we'll click on it, and we'll add a code to it, and we'll call it fill m, and then I will select on this burp subassembly. Code has been added, and this one we have to add code to it in a different way. We just select it, we go to subassembly properties, we go to parameters, and then we go to link codes, and instead two code already have been applied to it. We are going to add a third one which is called fill m. Thing to remember is that you must put a comma, and then I will press OK. So I have this assembly with all proper codes already assigned to it. Then excuse me, I'm gonna come to my corridor, and I will just select it, and will come to corridor properties. Once I'm in corridor properties, then I need to come to surfaces, and I need to create a new surface. Okay, new surface for which part? For this part. I'll just close it. I need a surface which will start from here going this way and along my cursor path. I need a surface something like this, and I already have codes added to this assembly for this new surface to be defined. Okay, so I will come to my corridor. It's already selected. I will come to corridor properties, and then we'll come to surfaces in this tab, and we'll add a new surface, and I will call it fill comparison surface. Fill comparison surface. I will call it fill because we are using this surface only for comparison purpose. So fill comparison surface, and then I can change its display to no display maybe. Okay, once this is done, and then you need to add some sort of links to it. You need to add some sort of code to it. It is selected, so I will come over here, and I can see that those new codes that we added over assembly are not available over here, and that's really understandable. Reason is that we have not rebuild our corridor yet. So I will click OK, and we'll rebuild the corridor. Once I rebuild the corridor, I again will come to corridor properties, and will click on that surface that I just created, and then I will come to that specify code and see if that link is there, or if that code is there, and it is there. Fill material, I am selected, and then add it to this surface. I will click this plus button and it is added now, and we'll rebuild the corridor again. Okay, so now that you have added the surface, to see if the surface has been introduced or not, I will just go to view and will make the viewport as a single, and then I can come to home, tool space, and surfaces, and there it is, our fill comparison surface. I will right click surface properties and will change its display to gridded. This way it will show me if this new surface has been added. Okay, new surface has been added to our corridor model. Now I will click on the section view, and then I will come to compute material. Now I'm able to use this command. I will click it, and then Civil3d will ask me to select an alignment. I have only one alignment and only one sample line group, so I will click OK. Then it takes me to this dialog box where I have this cut and fill criteria working for me. Okay, in this criteria I have surfaces and corridor shape. I'm not going to talk about corridor shape in this video. I will only talk about surfaces for right now. Okay, for surfaces you have I will just close it because since this surface is on, I need to turn it off. Reason it slows down computer. So I will just make the display no display, and then right now, and I can increase the some space for myself as well. Okay, so if I click this guy and go to compute material and then press OK, I get this dialog box. Now we have two options. One is EG, one is datum. Corridor shapes, like I said, I'm not going to talk about it. We have surfaces, and for surfaces we have two options: existing ground, datum. In case of existing ground, obviously, even if the surface is in cut or it is in fill, in both cases you will be cutting the existing ground, or you will be adding a new material, and therefore we can, in both cases, for this EG we can, for comparison purpose, we can introduce existing surface as the comparison surface. From this guy is selected, okay, and over here it says ground removed. So for comparison purpose, which surface should I use to compare with if I want to do cutting? So I will tell it that if there is a cutting case, or if there is a ground to be removed, then for comparison purpose, obviously I will have to tell it that this is my existing surface. So I will tell it that existing ground, because I have surfaces in my I have plenty of surfaces in my model right now, so I will have to tell it the correct surface that I want to have. I will tell it to give me comparison for existing ground, so that it can tell me the cutting. Then also I have to tell it that for ground fill, I mean, if there is some kind of fill, which surface will you be doing the comparison against? Which existing surface you will be doing the comparison against? I will tell it that please do comparison against existing surface, and existing surface I know is this guy. Okay, and then I will come to datum, and I will click the datum, and will click this plus button. In case of datum, I will be telling it that if there is ground to be removed, I mean, if there is this cutting that is happening, then compare this datum surface with the above existing ground surface. So if I click it, right now I don't see that surface in my list for the right now, because we introduced a new surface. If you remember, we introduced a surface starting from here going this way, and something like that. But that surface is not in my list up to this point. As you can see, it's not there, so I will have to make it part of my list. So how I can do this? We already have changed these guys, so we are not going to change it again. I will just press OK because I need to introduce that new surface into my list. I will press OK and OK, and then I will click my section view, and I will come to sample more sources. If you need to add more and more sources to your section view, you need to click on this guy. This ditch fill comparison surface is not in this list right now, so we will have to add it to this list. I just added it, and then I will click OK. Then I will come to this section view and will come to compute material, press OK, and again I can this time tell it to give me if there is a ground fill or ground removed or ground fill. In both cases, the surface that I'll be doing comparison against will be existing ground. And in terms of what I call it, in case of datum, if there is a cutting, I will be doing cutting against. We have not applied any surface for cutting yet, so I'm not going to use this command. I'm gonna use right now only ground fill. If there is a fill conditions, then which datum surface I will be doing comparison against, I will tell it to give me comparison against ditch fill comparison surface, because this is the surface that we introduced. I will press OK, and there you go. Now, as can be seen, automatically a fill pattern has been applied, but I'm not happy with that fill pattern. I will just click on this guy when we'll come to section view, and then to see where that new fill pattern style can be found, I need to come to sections, and then I need to come to ground fill. Okay, this guy, because you can see this little truck against it, so this is where I can make changes to my style, controlling the appearance of the fill pattern. I will come to style fill material. I will just click on this guy, fill material. We'll click this guy, and then in section I will come to section because we need to see it in section, and then I will make the fill pattern equal to be something like let's say let me just close it. I just need to confirm if I'm doing things wrong. Okay, yeah, I think we are okay. So I will go to browse, and I will come to maybe earth, and we'll press OK, and I will make the angle equal to 30, and then scale equal to 0.05, and we'll press OK and OK and OK. So it is showing up. The fill pattern is showing up. I will come to view, and will come to two vertical viewports, and then I will change my sample line location to see if changes are happening in my drawings, and yes, they are happening perfectly. As can be seen, these changes are obviously totally dynamic. So hopefully you get the idea of how fill pattern or cut pattern can be introduced in a section view. We have not introduced any cut pattern in our drawing yet. We will do this in our coming video. If you like this video, please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching the video.